right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. I want to start by thanking Michigan State Police, the FBI, and all of our partners in this investigation. Also want to thank the hard-working men and women of the Detroit Police Department, specifically the Homicide section. Want to offer my sincere condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Samantha Woll. She is beloved. Everyone I have talked to has spoken about her contribution to our community, and she will be sorely missed. The purpose of this press conference is to bring clarity to the incident that has brought attention of our community, local and national leaders, and even international outlets. I'm going to lay out what we know now. I'm going to bring up the Deputy Chief over our Homicide unit, and then we'll conclude with some comments from the FBI on this case. I hope everyone understands that we're limited in the information that we can share. This is an active investigation, and there will be points where we cannot share information. On the morning of Saturday, October 21st, a 911 call came into our 911 call center, and the call was regarding an incident that occurred at the 1300 block of Joliet Place. It was described as a person laying on the ground unresponsive. Responding emergency units made the location and declared that the victim was dead on scene. Upon investigation, it was determined that that victim was in fact Samantha Woll. While at the scene, police officers observed a trail of blood leading officers to the victim's residence, which is where we believe the crime occurred. An examination of the victim led to the discovery of multiple stab wounds on her body. What we know right now is that the victim, Ms. Woll, was at an event Friday evening. She left the event at 12:30 a.m. By all accounts, she was not in any discomfort, any distress. She was her normal, positive and pleasant self, as described by some people that we have interviewed. There was no signs of forced entry. Again, there was no signs of forced entry at her residence. We believe that there are no other groups or anyone else at risk in regards to this particular incident. We believe that this incident was not motivated by anti-Semitism and that this suspect acted alone. Again, that is what we know at this time. There are several factors that has led us to this conclusion. We are not in a position to discuss all of them at this point. Obviously, there are parts of the investigation that we cannot get into. Again, it is germane to the closing of this case. There are certain factors that are only shared by the suspect and our investigators. So there are certain key points that we, again, will not be able to discuss. At this time, I'll bring up Deputy Chief Sloan to get into some of the areas that we can discuss with you. Deputy Chief Sloan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everybody. Sadly, Ms. Samantha Woll was found deceased in front of the 1300 block of Joliet Street on Saturday around 6:30 a.m. She was suffering from apparent stab wounds to her body. We are currently working with our partners, as the Chief mentioned, from the FBI and Michigan State Police to establish exactly what occurred in the hours and days prior to Ms. Woll's death. At this point in the investigation, we are examining every piece of evidence we have uncovered to determine what exactly led to this incident, as well as following up on the extensive amounts of information that we have gained during our investigation. We have and are in the process of conducting countless interviews to learn everything about Ms. Woll's life, including any possible motive or opportunity to harm her. What we do know, again, from what the Chief mentioned, is that Ms. Woll did attend an event on Friday evening, which we know was a wedding. She did return home around 12:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, and we did discover no signs of forced entry to her residence. At some point between returning home from this event and in the early morning hours when she was discovered, Ms. Woll was unfortunately fatally assaulted. By all accounts, Ms. Woll was very well liked in the community, so it is clearly very shocking to her family and to her friends that this incident has occurred. I'd like to extend our gratitude to the men and women of the Homicide section, our partner agencies, for the endless hours that they have dedicated to this investigation. We are committed to our continued work with our partners to identify the person responsible in this incident. Again, the investigation is ongoing, and we continue to ask for the community's assistance in solving this crime, either through 1-800-SPEAK-UP or Rewards TV. Thank you.
FBI, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon. My name is Chevalier Gibson. That's spelled C-H-E-Y, V as in Victor, O-R-Y-E-A. Last name Gibson with a B. I'm the special agent in charge here in Detroit for the FBI, which covers the entire state of Michigan. I want to thank all of you for being here today, and thank you, Chief, for this opportunity. I want to express my sincerest condolences to Mrs. Woll's family, her friends, and the community during this tragic loss. As stated by Chief White, we are providing technical, forensic, and investigative support during this DPD investigation. And I will say, if you have any questions with regard to the investigation or any facts thereof, I'm going to defer to Chief White at this time. And again, thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Chief White.
Again, I just want to assure the community that everything possible is being done to bring this case to a close. I ask for patience. There's a lot of evidence and information that has to be analyzed. Again, we're very thankful to our partnerships with both the FBI and the Michigan State Police. Access to crime lab activity and things such as that helps move this case along quite quickly. But we want to make sure that we don't rush and that we do everything to make sure that evidence is analyzed, search warrants are got up, and we bring this matter to close with the appropriate person being held accountable for these horrendous actions. With that, I'll take any questions.
Hi, Chief Ryan Marshall, representing WWJ News Radio 950 here locally, CBS News, New York, nationally. Even though you did say that there isn't any anti-Semitic motive here, how I would say, how concerned are you that having this happen on Saturday and now you guys coming on Monday, that maybe somebody that hasn't seen this would say, hey, we need to have some sort of retaliation given what's happening with Israel and Hamas?
Yeah, I mean, we're always concerned with retaliation on any homicide, and certainly the international situation that we find ourselves in now bring us additional concern. But our goal is to be transparent with the community, be transparent as to where we are, to alleviate concerns that those may have, that others are at risk. Based on what we know today, right now, with the information that we've received and uncovered over the past few hours, and certainly at the onset of this investigation, we are confident with our position where we are right now today.
And second question is, given that that isn't the motive, can you speak to anything that could have been involved in why she was killed or murdered, a motive? Can you speak to anything in that regard?
Yeah, you know, as I indicated, and we certainly want to alleviate concerns. We certainly want to let others know, all know, that we are actively investigating this and that we have not discovered anyone else to be at risk. But in that, we have to be very, very cautious as to what information we share. There are some very intricate details about this case that, if revealed, could really damage what we're trying to accomplish. There are some facts that are known only to our suspect. So I can't get into causation right now, or what he or she may feel was that. But more to come on that at a later date. Right now, what we want to do is get every bit of information we can clarified, analyzed, the evidence that we have analyzed, so that we can put more information out to the community to help us identify and bring the suspect to justice.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief White, my name is Alex Brachet from ABC News. Thank you for taking our questions. You've mentioned suspect a couple of times, so I'm just curious. I mean, do you have a suspect or suspects here?
So in the process of an investigation, the detectives, they work a number of different theories. We are working through what we have identified are some persons of interest, and we're very confident on the track that we're on. But we're early. We're very, very early in this investigation. And once they're done with that level, each area of the work requires specific investment of time, concentration, and development on its own. And so to answer your question, the short answer is we have a number of people that give us interest. We are just short of calling one of the people a suspect, but we are working to that end, and we will be there. But it just takes time, and again, I'm asking for patience as we work through every aspect of what we're doing. There's a lot of information to be analyzed. Investigators have worked literally nonstop since we received this case. And I'm confident in the hard-working men and women of the Detroit Police Department. They are really, really good at what they do. I just got to give them time to do it, and we're going to get there. So yes, we are confident that we're going to develop a suspect. We're not there right now as of this press conference.
I understand. My second question for you, sir, is can you give any clarity or any theory as to how Ms. Woll ended up outside of her house, that trail of blood that led to the sidewalk?
Yeah, and we've worked on that, and the detectives have worked on that, and we're working right now with, I will say that some of what I'm going to say is somewhat graphic, well, very graphic, and again, my heart goes out to the family who may be hearing this and not be easy for them to hear, but we are working with the Michigan State Police and the FBI on blood splatter experts that will determine certain things about the event. What we believe to have happened is after she was attacked inside the home, she stumbled outside and collapsed in the yard. So that's where the blood trail appears to lead us, and we're pretty confident with that assessment. But we're going to confirm that through forensics and experts in that field.
Thank you.
Hi, Chief. Jesse Kirsch with NBC News. Appreciate you doing this. You mentioned that she left the wedding around 12:30 in the morning and she was attacked inside the home. We've heard from sources that she did not have any defensive wounds. Did she leave this wedding alone?
Yeah, I can't get into that. And your sources, I'm not going to confirm or deny that at this time. Again, a lot of, what sources don't take into account is how it could damage a case. And so I can't confirm or deny that. That's a very key part of our investigation that we're looking into.
Okay, and just point of clarification for my second question here, that you said persons of interest, so no one is in custody at this point. So,
no one is in custody.
So if no one's in custody and you said you don't believe anyone else is at risk here, and you've stressed that you don't believe this was tied to anti-Semitism, but obviously people have jumped to those conclusions, and you've got someone still out there who you say is responsible for this. So what do you say to people who are still worried about their safety in the climate of what's going on in the world right now, and particularly Jewish, Muslim, and Arab communities? What would you want people to know about their safety if they are jumping to conclusions?
Yeah, and so we certainly don't want folks to jump to a conclusion, but we certainly understand how one could arrive at those conclusions absent any information to the contrary, and that's why we're here today providing information on this particular case. We don't feel, as of this press conference, that there's anything that supports anyone else being at risk as it relates to a hate crime. We certainly know that this is a dangerous person, and this is why we're working tirelessly to identify a suspect and get the right suspect off the street. And once we get that development done, we will immediately push that out to our media partners as well as to our community partners to help us identify and bring this person to justice. Beyond that, we're going to continue to work hard and continue to push out transparent information so that the community is aware.
Good afternoon, Chief. Malachi Barrett from Bridge Detroit.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering, I mean, it seems as though the cause of death has been pretty well established as stabbing at this point, but I'm wondering if an autopsy has been completed and if you're able to tell us how many times she was stabbed or, anything else about cause of death.
Yeah, this is going to sound like a rerun from me, and I apologize. I know you have a job to do, and I hope you appreciate we do too. That number is important for us to keep close. It could be the one piece of evidence that breaks the case open if we're talking to the right suspect that would know that, no one else but the police does. So right now we're not going to release that information. And the autopsy, yes, an autopsy was completed. I don't think we have the results yet, do we, DC? We did receive the post, yes. Oh, okay, we do have the post now, but I can't release any information in it.
Okay. And I know the timeline is still being put together, but I'm wondering how long she was potentially on the sidewalk or outside her home.
Yeah, and and I'm prefacing my comments again, I can only imagine the heartbreak that the family's hearing every time I open my mouth about this case. We're confident that she was there quite a while. We're working through our video assets in the area and a number of other things that we're going through right now with neighbors and all of the digital doorbell systems and things such as that to identify when she was seen last physically outside of the residence and how long she may have been there. And it's a lot to go through. We're doing search warrants on Ring doorbells and things like that right now in the area. And so, but we're confident that she was there quite a while.
That kind of leads to my last question. I was curious if I saw that there were Ring doorbell cameras that I'm sure you can use to help identify suspects. I'm also wondering if there were green light cameras in the area. The condo neighborhood itself seems to be pretty self-contained, but has that helped you identify, potential suspects you're looking into, persons of interest?
Yeah, so as you know, one of the provisions of the green light is that there's no facing of residential communities. That was a concern early on. I think you may have been part of some of the conversation around that. But as it relates to routes of travel, they could certainly be useful. We just have to get there once we figure all of that out. We'll certainly be looking at green lights and other video systems to see routes of travel. One of the things that's of particular interest to us is when she left the wedding, does a vehicle appear with her in more than one stop, right? So we'll be tracking her entire route digitally that she took from the wedding to see if anyone was following her. And if you see the same vehicle in two different places near her, that would be of a concern and an issue for us.
And where was the wedding?
We won't do that.
Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Omar Jimenez, CNN. Thank you for taking the time. I know you.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Omar Jimenez, CNN.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for taking the time. I know you said that at this point you haven't seen any indications that this would be any form of anti-Semitism. I guess my further clarification and question is if you don't have a suspect identified and you haven't shared what led up to this killing, what makes you so confident that this isn't? Essentially, have you ruled it out despite not having found it just yet?
Well, when we look at the case, there's certain tracks that these types of cases take. When we talk about hate crimes, there's certain tracks that they take. And we have looked at this particular track, and we're confident with the information that we have right now that this is not what we have right now. But this is, a 2-day investigation that is ongoing. But we were very cautious in making that declaration too early. We did a lot of work that gave us the confidence that we have now, that it's not as we stand here right now. We are working, we're not ruling out anything. Okay, let me be clear. We're looking at every aspect of this case, and we're going to go where the information and the evidence takes us. And right now, the evidence does not take us there. We do have another working theory that we're looking at and where the evidence has taken us to, and we're going to exhaust that. And then if we get there and it takes us somewhere else, we're going to exhaust that, and we may be back here having different conversation. But as of this press conference, we are confident with what we've seen and what we are saying.